Hello everyone, and welcome to our circle and Salve Women. Today is husband and wife talk, so I get to interview my husband once again, and the topic of discussion today will be raising your children to be successful. Now, we have to remind you we have 5 children, and right now they are in the ages between 7 to 27. And so through our journey, we would really want to have you think through of, what we've picked up from this time of raising children to be successful. And hopefully with Gerald starting first, answering 5 questions, and then me following up thereafter to close it up, that you would be able to get at least 1 or 2 things to strengthen or empower your family. And it doesn't have to be everything, right? But what you can take from it and just say to yourself, okay, now I can see better, I can see clearer, or I can relate to this that will empower me and be stronger for my family in raising my children to be successful, or continue to raise them to be successful as well, or perhaps pass it on to someone else that may, want to hear this and just get a little bit or maybe a lot from it. But regardless, please listen in, and I look forward to having you get a few of what we have to say and take it in the right direction. Well, hi there, Gerald.
Hello, Anne.
You ready for another interview?
I guess.
Okay, so today's topic is raising children to be successful, and I'm looking forward to see hear what Gerald has to really share with us on this one. So number 1, what out of a father or a male figure should be required to create that pathway of success for children?
So I think the first thing that has to be done is you have to define what is success, and success is going to probably be different for each kid if you have more than one, based off their talents and their passion. So with that said, I think making sure you understand that, and then there's consistency with discipline in setting goals and priorities. The other thing I think is very important is also respect, making sure that they respect themselves and other people. Following that, I would say support from the male figure or the father, right? Support meaning, if you have to take them to places, for them to get additional help or learn more about whatever it is they're trying to excel in, that you provide that. The other part is tough love, right? Yeah. When you get knocked down, you have to be able to have the ability to get right back up. And it goes back to with the support and how are you supporting the individual, right? And there's different ways to do that. Some positive, some not positive. I learned through experiences usually probably best to stick with, things that are positive, but it also depends on the kid. There's certain kids that respond to things differently. So I think once you have a good understanding of your child, what their passions are, where their strengths are, where their talents are at. And then from that, and going out and finding out, additional information and research of how to help your child, right? Yeah. Reach their potential. Start from there and move forward.
Yeah, and that could be, a progress on its own. It's difficult to really see the difference between children at times from the very beginning, but great job. So here is the next question. Question number 2. What are the key components to keeping children on the right path?
Key components. For myself, I found that basically, again, being consistent with setting goals and milestones and giving them the support they need to achieve those goals and milestones. The other thing I feel that was very important is also who are they spending the most time with, where those people have an influence on your child, right? That's extremely important. If you have a group that is, they're all excelling very well and it's good positive influence, this could be empowering. Versus if they're in a different type of group of people that are a little bit tend to be more negative, and non-believing and non-accomplishing things and non-progressing, right? Then it makes it more challenging for your child to be more progressive.
Yeah.
So
is there anything you want to add to that? What other key components? So those 2 again
those 2, and then also priority, setting your priorities. Yeah.
Okay, for sure. For them to set up a priority, or to have a discussion with them as to what is priority for them.
Both.
Got it. Okay. And so next question, are you ready? Question number 3 is, what obstacles should a new parent, obviously who's doing this for the first time and wants to go into the right direction, for a new parent, what should they anticipate to prepare for to raise children to success?
I believe once you get to like the adolescent years in middle school and high school, it's the conforming to their peers, the peer pressure. So if they're surrounded with the right type of peers, I believe that's going to make, you know, your child definitely increase the probability of them being more successful or hitting their goals. Okay. The other part is, I would say, making sure that you as a parent have to realize that they're going to make mistakes, and mistakes are not bad, provided they don't continue to make the same mistakes. In fact, I would say mistakes are sometimes one of the best learning, because of the fact that, you know, you allow them to make a mistake so they can learn from it, as long as you point out, hey, what could you have done differently, right? You know, why are you not where you want to be, or why are you not accomplishing what you want to accomplish, and what adjustments do you need to make to move forward?
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Right. And at the end of the day, when in regards to success is going to be mostly based off what your child wants to achieve. Right. So for some people, you know, certain things will be viewed as a success, and for other people it may not be. But at the end of the day, it's really based off your child. Right? If they're happy with the results they have, right, then it's success, regardless of how the parent may feel. At the end of the day,
I'm glad that you add that regardless of how the parent may feel, because you know, that's something that's really interesting to understand for parents coming in, that they may have a plan for their child, and yet the same plan is not always the plan for the child themselves, right? For their own success. That's good.
And I can only speak on based off our kids.
Yes.
But, you know, because every kid's going to be different. So I would even go to as far as say definitely what success is will be different for each kid.
Yeah, for sure. I guess it goes into this next question, question number 4. What do you define as success in raising children?
What do I define? Again, I don't know if it's so much that I would define to some degree, but I would say if you've raised a person who has become an adult that respects themselves, respects other people, knows how to set goals and understand priorities and accomplish goals, you know, and is happy, I don't know what more a parent could want or wish for.
Do you want to add anything to that in raising children, or do you think that's pretty much just covers it? Like, you know, how about the ones that are staying at home with their parent? Would you consider that to be successful as well? You know, I mean, really get some.
I think it depends on the kids,
right?
because there's some kids that you know might be autistic, or they might have special needs, right? So, you know, I think it really varies. I think it really depends on the individual child. I don't think there's like a one solution fits all, you know, a one shoe or one shoe box fits all shoes, right?
Yes. So last and final question, because it is a partnership and it's really a teammanship, because then you're involving the child or children. What then out of a mother or a female role should be required to help build a path of success for their child or children?
I believe that the first thing is both parents must be on the same page. Okay, so maybe have a overall game plan, right? And agree on the game plan, you know, and move forward with that.
And what would you say when someone is causing a breakage from that plan? Do you that?
Well, you mean someone
that arise,
as the
like
child or the parent?
Could be anyone, right? Because if it's a team to the success, and you know, are you going to anticipate bumping heads? You know, what if the mother is not? What's it take for a mother to fully understand, or the female role to fully understand what is that pathway of success for the child? Then I
believe communication, and in regards to
that's what I was hoping you'd say.
in regards to disagreeing on certain things or having certain opinions, I think at the end of the day, if you're truly there for the best interest of your child, right, you're gonna make things work. Right.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna find out what's going to work.
Yes.
Right. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything that you want to add that you feel is important for this discussion on, you know, raising children to be successful? And do you want to shed some light on what you felt that you've accomplished and some of the things that maybe you feel, you know, that you would like to add on to this discussion?
Well, I would say just from a learning standpoint, you know, feel free. I would suggest go out and learn and educate yourself. Right?
What do you mean by educating yourself?
Well,
there's people could do that so many different levels.
Books. There's other people that you could probably within or around your circle or association that you can tell that maybe they're doing a really good job raising their kids. You can ask them maybe for some advice and some pointers, right? The other thing too is I believe also if you're hanging out with the right type of people, that helps tremendously. If your kids are hanging out with the right peer groups, that helps tremendously because especially when they become teenagers, you know, they're at that point where you're almost at the mercy of, you know, the peer group.
Yes.
So if the peer group is good and doing good things, then there's a high probability your kid's going to be doing the same thing.
And I want to add the adults too, because your peers definitely become a big factor, but there could also be mindsets of adults, you know, that could say some things and then you start to go against the plan, you know, that could cause problems,
that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, if you're looking to achieve certain things or accomplish certain things, you know, you're going to want to make sure you're associated with people that have already done it or within the same range, right? So it's very easy for someone to say, for example, how to fix a car, right? They can tell you how to fix a car, but they may have never even changed the oil or even know where the dipstick is, right? You know, versus would you rather learn from someone who actually does know about cars, who has fixed hundreds and thousands.
So true. So true. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and I cannot wait again to ask you more questions on yet another interview topic.
That sounds good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Hi, everyone. So it's my turn now to answer these questions. And so for me, what out of a father or a male figure should be required to help build a path of success for their children or their child? I would say three things, and that would be leadership, strength, and determination. That leadership, someone's has to be the captain of the boat, and otherwise you just don't have a direction. And so in that case, you know, I could be a co-captain. I could say, yeah, I definitely am the co-captain and so forth. But in any type of journey, everyone has to have an understanding that there's got to be that one person that everyone knows you turn to. And in my case, if, you know, anyone were to ask me, I wouldn't have a problem saying my husband's the leader. You know, and in this household, he is the leader. It doesn't mean that I don't have any strength. It doesn't mean that I don't have an important role or a vital role. And yet I know it is the most critical role. I don't want that position when it comes to raising our children into the right path of success. I want to be that person to support it, because then it takes away from me feeling like I have to have that energy. That requires a lot of energy to lead. And because my husband is such a spearheader, I don't mind that he has that leadership. And he has always been that leader to do the planning, to do the matrix of making sure that you could already foresee where the child is going and having that vision plan. And then for me to just make sure that I am there with him. Again, fine, call me a co-captain, call me whatever, but I don't mind calling my husband the leader, if need be the man or the male role, to make sure that things get done. And so the other part would be strength. You cannot have someone who's a leader who has no backbone. You can't have, you know, I mean, you could, but at the same rate, think about that. You know, you're following someone that when their back is against the wall, all of a sudden they're going to fold. I'm not having that. I'm not going to have time and energy used up, especially with my children who are going to be hand in hand with me. I'm leading them in that direction that you had suggested, and yet all of a sudden I see you folding. That's not going to work for anyone. It's not going to work also for our children who are looking up to you thinking, well, wait a minute, when all of a sudden things got tough, then you folded. So you have to have that strength to go, okay, this is the plan. This is what I said I was going to do, and we're going to do it together, and we're going to follow along. And when all of a sudden they are running into, or we as a team are running into some obstacles that we may have not even anticipated, you're going to have that strength to go, okay, well, let's go. We're still going to push through all of this, and we're still going to overcome any of this and get to the other side. And so that goes to that last part of determination of the role of a father or a male, is that you've got to be determined. You've got to say, if this is what I said we were going to do, and this is what I had essentially promise is such a strong word, but if this is what we had planned on doing, and this is what it takes to get you to the other side of our success, then we're determined to do that at all costs. And we can talk about what all costs is, but as long as you understand that leadership and strength and determination is there's got to be that trust in that person to go, okay, everybody's on the boat, and we know that you're leading, and we're going to follow. So the next question is, what are the key components to keeping children on the right path? For me, this would mean team mentality. This would mean persistence. This would mean purpose. And what I mean by team mentality is that everyone has to be on the boat, and everyone has to be rowing in the same direction. You cannot think to yourself you're going to approach a situation where someone else is rowing the wrong direction, or just deciding that they're not going to row at all. Fine, don't row. But at the same rate, make sure that you're doing something as a team to know that you are following in the same direction. Don't be, as my husband would say, the person to go ahead and poke holes at the boat where we're not getting to where we need to go. You have to have that team mentality and think to yourself, this is not just about me. This is about what my parents are doing for me, and that I have to have faith that this is the right path for me. And there's going to be some sacrifice, and that's the part where you're going to have some fight. You're going to have bump some heads, because there's going to be some people that kind of may not see the clarity of a situation in the direction. Things get clouded, right? When you're at sea, the waves get high, and all of a sudden the boat can get rocky. And yet you have to have that team mentality going, but we're in this together, and we're going to do what our part. Everyone has to be essentially holding their end to make sure that nothing falls apart, that the boat doesn't sink, or that it goes topsy-turvy. We are going to make sure that no matter what, at all costs, we are going in the same direction. And I'm going to do my part. You're going to do your part. We are going to do our part to make sure that this gets done for your success, for your children's success. They have to have that understanding. And so that's that persistence of, look, things may have not been as what we planned today. And we definitely, crossed our T's and dotted our I's, and yet we still ran a little bit short today. But there's tomorrow. What can we do to learn from this so that we can persist and still get to our goal? Because sometimes what you may think is the end of it may just be the beginning. As Gerald had mentioned, it is in those, moments of making mistakes that you kind of go, okay, well, wait a minute. Let's go back to the whiteboard and let's see where we went wrong. And let's go ahead, and notice that I'm saying let's, because if you are having that team mentality, that persistence, that energy is all going into that same direction. And so therefore that purpose, that very last piece of key components, is that purpose is there. And it has to be clear. Oh, we're trying to get you to college. Oh, we're trying to get you to, win this next state championship. Oh, we're trying to get you to get that straight A. You may not like what I have to say to you right now. You may not like what you have to do right now, or what I'm doing for you, but understand that the purpose is for your success. And you have to understand that. I have to understand that. We have to understand that as a team. And you know what? Everyone's got to suck it up sometimes, regardless of what you may be feeling internally. There's got to be that trust. There's got to be that drive. There's got to be that persistence for that purpose. And so the next question is, what obstacles should a new parent anticipate in preparing to raise children to success? My greatest obstacle, again, there's me being transparent, is the people around, okay? The biggest obstacle is here you are going with your boat and you're rowing. Everyone's rowing. Everyone knows their purpose. Everyone knows their, where they're heading. And yet you've got some people that are on the side going, hey, why are you guys going in that direction? Why are you guys rowing too fast? Why don't you slow down? Are you doing too much? I've heard it all. I've heard it directly from my children of what people were saying to them. I've also heard it just openly, having my ears open, or people telling me what they think they know. God bless them all. And yet I didn't even know. I just had to have faith that, again, my leader, my husband, was leading us in the right direction, and I understood the purpose. And yes, maybe sometimes we were learning as we were going along because it was the first time we were doing this, but we were determined because of our purpose. Don't be that person then to come in and tell my children, don't you think you're doing too much? Aren't you under too much pressure? And then there goes the social media, everything that people around you, all that energy. And it's usually from people who have never accomplished anything in life, or that if they've tried, they quit while they were ahead because they had no backbone to finish. Their leadership may have been there, and yet they did not have the persistence or determination to finish. And so, it is their spirit from within, not to their fault perhaps, but that's all they know is to kind of question success. Why are you even going in that direction? And those type of comments and remarks that people give, it can really, really be an obstacle, because it's a spiritual, mental obstacle that gets into your head, that creeps in there and makes you go wonder, well, why am I doing this? Why is it that I'm continuing in this direction? What if I just stop now? Haven't I accomplished enough? Then you start to question, and it's unfortunate because it was those people trying to get into your circle, trying to get into your boat, that caused a weight that was unnecessary. And then all of a sudden it's slowing you down from getting again to where you're going. So keep that in mind with obstacles, is really, understand that it doesn't have to always be the letting them on the boat, but it's what you're letting in, that what they're saying that could get to you, into your spirit, into your mind, and into your heart perhaps. Don't let that happen. As new parents, your only team are your children, your partner, and you. Keep that in mind and don't let go of that. Next one is, what do you define as success in raising children? I'm going to have to go back with what Gerald had said. And I so remember my papa, when someone came to him, we were at a laundromat washing our clothes. And someone said, you should have someone pay to make sure that to marry your daughter. She's a good daughter. And my papa didn't even know I was listening. And what touched my heart till this day is that he said, as long as she's happy. What I learned in time was that my father was the youngest of 8, and he had seen so much of all of his brothers that had done everything they could to raise a perfect daughter so that they would then end up marrying a perfect man, right? And yet the daughters ended up, marrying someone that was to the least of their expectations of a man. And so by the time that I believe, my heart is telling me, and what I realize about myself that my father has instilled in me, is that at the end of the day, you can lead the horse to water, but if they don't drink, you are still happy that you have given them that water as an opportunity to drink. And that's it. You did the best you could to get them there. And it is up to them to go, yeah, I'll drink it tomorrow. I know it's here. But that opportunity is there. And when they all of a sudden get thirsty enough, you have provided that resource for them to go, look, it's there for you. I worked my tail off to get you here. We went across the river and up the mountains and to the other side and through the valleys. And here we are. We found some water. Now drink, and maybe they just aren't ready. And but to them it could be just, I just love the pasture, or yeah, I'm going to drink a little bit, but I want to go in this direction too, and I want to go in that direction. I don't want to follow this path anymore. Well, guess what? All of a sudden now you have raised a happy, autonomous child, because at the end of the day, my papa would say, as long as she is happy. And I know that I pushed hard as a mother. I'm not one, no one could, my children could say, she's just not that kind of mom that is so approachable at all times. Because as Gerald would say to me, there's got to be one soft parent in this relationship. And it's hard for me, behind closed doors, the things we say to each other and the things he has to remind me is that, sometimes without having to say it directly at times, I know what he means is, hey, you can't be the one who's tough as well. But honestly, I believe that's how we got our children to that level of success. Is he was in charge more of their extracurricular activities to get them to where they needed to go for their scholarships and, and so forth, and all of their drive to be great leaders. Each and every one of them continue to be great leaders. Even our younger ones, I see it so much in them as well. But for me, it was more like their academic. I would tell my children, you know what, I would be okay if you were an average student. So I would expect average grades, but you are an extraordinary student or an extraordinary child. I'm expecting extraordinary outcome. And that is just who I am as a person, because I knew it from within me that even though my father or my papa just wanted me to be happy, I owed it to him as my father to make sure that he got to see the best of me. And, call it crazy, call it mean, call it just, a parent asking for too much. But because I believe in my children that much, I owe him that much to keep them going and to make sure that when they are at that level of autonomy, I got them to that water along with my husband. And we had now, or for those of you just with a partner, you can say, look, whatever you decide here, if you're happy being right here where you're standing, at least you know that we did this together and we got you here. I don't care about the rest of the world. We did this as a team. And so the last question is, what out of a mother should be required to help build a path of success for their children? And for me, faith, belief, and being the fallback. I want to start off with being the fallback first. When things go wrong, because sometimes it's in your silence that makes you seem weak or that makes you seem like you are the person at fault for anything, bring it on, okay? Get mad at me. Tell me I did wrong. Tell me I didn't do my part, whatever. As long as we get there, I'm okay with that. Because as a mom, you have to have that belief and faith to say to yourself, you know what? I knew we were going to get here because I had visualized what you saw from the beginning, maybe not as clearly as you, but I believed in you. I believed in my children, that they had the ways and the strength and the abilities to do this. And yes, we crawled at times. Yes, we had to run like crazy at times. Or yes, we had to pull back at times, but we drove still in the same direction, or we rode still in the same direction. And no matter what pain, at what cost, no one could say that we didn't get here. No one can say now, well, look at this, now your children are hooked on this and they're doing that. And you know what? No, they didn't. And I'm giving that silence for a reason, because it is in that silence that you can take it in and just say to yourself, it happened. We got here. And now we can, look back and go, yeah, we bumped some heads together for sure. We definitely doubted sometimes because we are human and we get tired at times, and we want to quit at times. But guess what? No one can say we did not get here. And we got here even more with the ability to say, if we can, then you can too. So raising successful children, I'm going to end this by saying that it is not just about them. It is about having that responsibility to understand that as things get bigger and better for you, understand that now you are proving to others that they can do it as well. And how you do it and how you behave and how you react to any obstacle or any victories that you may have at every given moment, someone is watching. Someone is learning from your ways, so that it is the hope that they don't have to go through your obstacles. And honestly, maybe it's a good thing that everybody goes through the hardship, right? Because it is in those hardships that you learn that perseverance, that persistence, the tenacity to say, I am not giving up. Whether you have to crawl to get to that finish line, whatever finish line you envision in your head, you have to say to yourself, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for allowing me to hate you at times, but yet you never gave up. And, thank you for just making me feel like I may have not known everything that you were doing behind the scene at times. And maybe one day I'm going to look back and say, okay, I get it now. And just thank you for giving me your silence and yet still pushing me forward, because that is what we have to do for our children. We're not trying to be their best friends, okay? Hey, if you're your child's best friend, that's perfect, because that'll come in time, right? It depends on what phase you are with your children. But if it's right now, just to get to the grind, just to get them to that water and then let them decide what they want to do with it, you've done your part. And so really, I want to enforce that with people and just really, truly emphasize, just think team, and then think about your role and think about your belief in the team, in the purpose. And then you've got it together, and don't give up, because no matter what, at the end of the day, you are your circle, and no one should ever, ever feel like they have the power to break that. You've got to make sure that you are together as one for that entity, for that whole, for what's inside, not what's outside. So in the words of my mother, God bless us all. Do your greatness one day at a time with your family, no matter what. Don't give up. You've got this. You've got your life. Have a great day.